I'm spending the next 5 days exploring the most interesting island I've ever been to, Gran Canaria. These are the 8 Canary Islands, a chain of volcanic Spanish islands off the west coast of Africa. The climate, terrain, and history of these islands make them unlike anywhere I've been to before. They're a blend of African, European, and Caribbean culture, which you can see in the people, the architecture, and the cuisine.
Oh yeah. Oh, I got goosebumps.
And in this packed 5 days, we're experiencing quite a bit, mainly thanks to our local guide, Maria, who was born on the island. It seems like every 30 minutes of driving around, we're seeing a new type of landscape, from mountains to beaches to deserts. And in this video, I'm going to showcase some local restaurants and activities to do when you visit Gran Canaria, while at the same time learning about how an island with such harsh terrain and little natural resources can thrive using ingenuity, farming, and technology. This is the island of Gran Canaria. I'm in the Canary Islands. I'm going to spend the next few days here exploring this island. And first I want to talk about the name Canary Island. It does not come from the birds canary. It was actually the other way around. The birds were here and they named the birds after the island. The second theory was that this place was named after dogs because there was like some ancient script that said this is the dog island, the canes, and they made statues of dogs. And then later that was debunked and it was a mistranslation, and it was actually something written about sea lions. And the word for sea lions is very similar to the Latin word for dogs. So now they found out that this place was named after sea lions that they found, and that's how you get the name Canary Islands. There's no doubt this island is beautiful. I can totally see why so many Europeans and North American tourists come here every year. It's home to 850,000 inhabitants and nearly 4 million tourists each year, which means 3 out of 4 people you see here are on vacation. The island is large enough to have enough to explore, while being small enough to easily traverse by vehicle. And that's what I'm going to do. As we're driving around, I noticed just how dry and rocky the terrain is. There are mostly tiny shrubs you might see in the desert. There's very little endemic plants and wildlife on Canary Islands, which adds to its fascination in my opinion. Gran Canaria only receives 14 centimeters of rain a year. I also notice how many solar farms and windmills there are. With so much sun every day and ocean winds, this is the ideal place for renewable energy. While solar and wind are only a fraction of the energy created, Gran Canaria is moving into more of these green energy systems. Our first stop was to the Maspalomas sand dunes. These sand dunes are roughly 1,000 acres of protected land on the southernmost tip of Gran Canaria. These dunes are completely out of place, resting in between the Atlantic Ocean and the Stone Mountains. Now, it wasn't erosion that created these dunes, and it wasn't winds from the Sahara blowing in from Africa. So how did they end up here? One theory is that a massive tsunami swept up sediment and deposited the sand on the shore. That must have been a massive tsunami to move so much sand on the land. Nowadays, walking on the dunes is prohibited, and instead, specific walking paths were created for those who wanted to touch these mysterious sands. Although some people don't know this rule is in place and still walk on the dunes. Our next stop is to Puerto de Mogan, a hotspot for foodies and beachgoers. Puerto de Mogan has a European Mediterranean vibe in my opinion, with winding alleyways, the smell of seafood, and a marina next to a beautiful arched beach. But we're not here to swim. We're here to explore the ancient ruins left by Berbers. Cañada de los Gatos is estimated to be over 1,300 years old and comprised of living quarters, animal enclosures, and burial caves. Sites like this help to understand how ancient settlers lived before the Spanish arrived in the 1400s. While life here was simple, I doubt it was easy living in such a harsh environment. We are now in Puerto de Mogan. This is the local side. There's a touristy side over there with restaurants and nice beach and stuff, but this is where the locals are. Everything is beautifully white. So if you are to buy a house here, you have to keep the house white. This island is so beautiful and so special and has so much interesting history. It's really unlike any other place I've traveled to. We are now at the port and we're going on a little catamaran adventure. I can't remember the last time I was on a catamaran, so I'm pretty excited. This is a tortilla española, which is basically a Spanish tortilla. And it's potato, egg, and looks like parsley or some other herbs inside. Oh yeah, it's like a potato pancake with egg mixed in. That's delicious. As long as I don't get sick on this boat, it's delicious. The mix of the rocky landscape with like these new hotels that are built into the side of the mountains just almost looks futuristic to me. It looks like a scene out of Star Wars or something where there's this like modern city mixed with like an ancient landscape. We were pretty tired after a long day on the water, so we headed back to our hotel, the Lope San Costa Meloneras, to relax and enjoy a performance. Now for a little break, so my wife Kristen can tell you about our sponsor for this video, Olafly eSIMs.
If you're looking for the best way to stay connected while you're traveling internationally, an Olafly eSIM is the way to go. I've tried all different ways to stay connected while traveling, whether that's buying a local SIM, using my data plan from back home, bringing a portable Wi-Fi device, or staying in airplane mode and just finding Wi-Fi connections as I go. You name a way to stay connected while traveling, and I've tried it. With the Olafly eSIM, it's easy to set up. You're immediately connected as soon as you land at your destination. You can travel to multiple destinations on one plan. You're always getting the best connection. You can hotspot to other devices, and you can do it all without needing a physical SIM card. It is super easy to set up and very convenient. You just find the plan that best suits you, and they have plans in over 160 destinations around the world that have up to 5G speeds, and then you get a QR code, you scan that, and you're good to go. So if you do have a trip coming up, the Olafly eSIM is the easiest and most convenient way to stay connected. We made a whole dedicated video about the Olafly eSIM that will answer any questions you may have, or if you want to just learn more about it. And if you do purchase a plan, you can get 5% off all of those plans using discount code Kristen and Sia. So go check it out, and back to the video.
The next day, we drove to a banana plantation to meet JC.
So, if you're gonna get this banana in your supermarkets, let me tell you one thing.
The man who lives with 8,000 banana plants. This is La Recompensa Banana Museum and Plantation. Having very little crops on the island, it was insightful to learn how this delicious fruit is feeding the people here. Today we are visiting a banana plantation here on the island. There are not many things that grow on the island. Before it was really only a lot of tomatoes and then potatoes, but now they're introducing more and more vegetation, more and more edible plants. Wow, look at all these bananas. That is crazy. And I learned quite a bit about bananas actually.
Welcome to the plantation. In this case, you need to know that all of the banana plants in the world grow in the same way. So it doesn't matter which variety are we talking about or where are they cultivated, that all of them are gonna be working in the same way. Each banana plant only is able to produce one bunch, This is the bunch, the whole banana piece, okay? That's called a bunch of bananas. So they only produce one bunch on their life. Later on, the banana plant is not useful anymore. That's why whenever the bunch is cut, we need to cut the stem. 3 months that we need to wait until the bunch is ready to cut, plus 9 months that the bunch is ready to be born, is more or less 12 months, which in total is 1 year time.
Not many people realize, but the banana is actually a plant. It is not a tree. And that's because the stalk isn't a trunk. It's not made of wood. It's made of fiber. This is the largest plant in the world. And it makes such delicious fruit that people all over the world enjoy. 100% of all the bananas produced here on the island are consumed in Spain. 20% of them stay here on the islands, and the other 80% are exported to mainland Spain. The only place you can get these bananas is in Spain. At the end of the tour, we sampled some banana jams, which were delicious. And of course, bananas.
We don't have to
How's the banana? It better be delicious.
Tastes like banana.
Tastes like banana. Okay, opening the banana from the bottom. Not this way. From the bottom.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
I want to get one of each.
Yes, sure.
Ooh, very fragrant.
My parents gonna love them.
That's good. Good banana.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gracias.
We've now left the banana plantation and we're now at a rum distillery to taste some local rum. The history of these islands has a lot of Caribbean influence, and in the Caribbean they make and drink a lot of rum. This right behind me is sugarcane stock, and these sugar canes are only 3 months old and they're 3 meters high. This creates most of the sugar that you have on the planet, and it's great for making rum. There's about 4,300 barrels in this place, making over 1.2 million liters of rum. Barrels of rum everywhere. This is a warehouse full of rum. And I love that the process of making rum hasn't changed in like 150 years. Salud.
Todavía no tomó y ya está ebria. The smell.
Wow, that's very smooth.
Cheers. Felicidades.
Spend the day with you.
Felicidades. Happy birthday.
Gracias. We tasted a lot of variety of rums, including one that was aged 40 years. And now we're going for a walk. Not the best activity after drinking a little bit of rum, but it'll make it more fun. We're now in the Mercado del Puerto, the market of the port, basically. And here you can get fresh produce and fruit, and mainly we're here for pinchos. And a pincho is a piece of bread with something on top. So it could be meat, it could be veggie, it could be a mushroom, but there's a lot of different varieties, a lot of different flavors to try. So we're gonna try some today. Spain is famous for its tapas. It's like little meals. But pinchos are lesser known, and we're gonna try some right now. This is my first pincho experience here on the island. So I have some bread with caramelized onions and tomatoes and brie cheese, and then a sun-dried tomato on top, decorated with a little crystal, and it's like fluffy and warm too. Oh yeah. Oh. I got goosebumps. The caramelized onion with the cheese and tomato is just perfect combination. Wow. I didn't think I was gonna eat this whole thing, but I think I'm gonna eat this whole thing.
So good.
Our last stop before heading home was to a lookout point to Roque, Nublo. We did a quick 20-minute hike through the pine forests and pear orchards to multiple lookout points, where we stopped and admired the view of the landscape with a backdrop of the Atlantic Ocean. I want to thank our sponsor for this video, Olafly. If you're taking an international trip and want access to your phone and data and phone calls, check out Olafly, type in your destination, and see what plans they offer.